Hey everybody, it's Briar Harvey. Welcome to another episode of Systems Are Messy. Today I have Roman Prokopchuk. Roman, tell us about yourself.
Thanks for having me on. So I'm a first generation immigrant to the United States from Ukraine. I came here when I was 5 in 1990, and I went to school for criminal justice, graduated. Before I graduated, I had an internship with the Secret Service, had a top secret clearance, and then I graduated in 2007, 2008 when the economy kind of tanked. So state, local, federal agencies froze hiring. So basically, I could not get a job anywhere. And I got down, got a little depressed, was looking for jobs for months, and I couldn't find anything. So an opportunity came along to learn search engine optimization, which I kind of took and ran. And I've been doing digital marketing ever since. It's basically someone at the gym said, "Hey, do you need a job? I need somebody to do this. Come to my car." And they gave me a packet from their trunk. And then they said, "Read the rest online. And in a month or two, do this for our company." And that's kind of how I got started in digital marketing. And I've been doing it for, going on 11 years. I started an agency in 2012. And 2 years ago, I started a podcast, which I interview different, business leaders, entrepreneurs, people about their journey. And I'm also a foster parent in my personal life.
Man, that's a hell of a detour, but it's good. Do you like it? Do you enjoy the work?
I do enjoy it, and I became good at it, and I saw I liked it. And in 2008, 2009, I saw search engine optimization was going to get a little bit more regulated than it was kind of the Wild West back in the day.
Yeah.
And seeing the ecosystem of digital marketing. So social media was still in its infancy. So learning the principles of social media and how everything connects, paid social, paid search, content strategy to be a well-rounded digital marketer, and kind of took it from there.
So tell me how you plan all of that and how you keep track of it all.
So yeah, I think without planning, you can't scale or have a process to do so. So in terms of each kind of offering, there's a set things you should be doing to achieve success. And that obviously is scaled based on the client's budget and what they're actually looking for. So it's more a la carte. Some agencies are a little bit of cookie cutter, where it's like, okay, you spend $1,000, you get, 10 links a month in terms of a offsite initiative. And if you spend two, you get 20. And it's just like super rigid and doesn't make sense in terms of a omni-channel approach where it keeps the client in mind. So understanding, what things are going to take, what you charge, and things that are going to add value. So, content creation, different outreach initiatives. How long is that going to take? What is it going to get you? What the client is going to pay you, because at the end of the day, because if the client is paying you $1,000 a month, $10,000 a month, you may only be, you know, grossing maybe 3,000 a month on that campaign. So understanding all those moving parts so you actually don't lose money on them, and developing processes that obviously can be updated over time to be able to scale an agency or a business.
So tell me about your stack. What are you using specifically to manage all that crap?
Well, it depends who I'm working with, but currently, in terms of a project management system, usually Trello, but I've used everything, AdTask, Asana. I mean, all of them have majority of the same features. I mean, they have that, one bell and whistle that makes them unique, but everybody does project management. So having that, and then obviously using tools and software to automate and also kind of speed up different processes, like helping with different audits and competitive analysis.
Awesome. So, with all of that going on, how often do things slip through the cracks for you?
Not at this point, not very often, but it still does happen regardless of where you get to in terms of like your seniority or where your company gets. I think if a company makes it to a certain amount of time, they have to be doing something right. Not always the case, but when you get, let's say, to a decade of experience in something, or several years, close to a decade of running a company, you work out majority of the kinks, but some things still come along, and some of the new nuances, like client relationship management. Oftentimes, obviously, each client has their own personality, so dealing with them, and people throwing hissy fits and tantrums over nothing, and having good people skills to deal with that. Oftentimes that's one of the repetitive things. Usually it's not within the process of the actual campaign, because that's somewhat solid in terms of an expert level, but that people focus is like a wrench that gets thrown campaign to campaign, because oftentimes you may be delivering on ROI, but the client is fixated on something. Well, you got me this, but that's not enough for me.
Right.
So it's one of those kind of give and take.
So then how do you review or process everything that you've got going on, both personally and on for each client?
I think shuffling in terms of importance level. So if something needs approval and it's a major component that a campaign can't launch without, like let's say a website, draft approval, or something that the client is coming back that they're adamant about, that you can't go ahead without sign off on it. How realistic is that? If it's going to cost X amount of money to fix, or it affects the campaign in terms of success or failure, that obviously sets priority. And then me personally, I like to be hands on. So I like to kind of see all the moving parts, but I trust people that are actually working on it. So a lot of the time I can spot check and not necessarily have to stop what I'm doing and fix things.
Well, that's awesome. So with all of that in mind, what do you wish you did better in terms of your planning scheme?
I think to begin with, organization, and then that organization would have helped with scaling, or the ability to, I guess, let go. Because I think in the beginning, you want to do everything yourself. You don't necessarily trust people, and letting go of the things that are repetitive and can be automated, and focusing on things that kind of really move the needle.
That's a great answer. I think that being able to let go is so much harder than people give it credit for. Being like, oh, I'll just delegate that. No, no, you probably won't. You may say you'll delegate it, but it takes time to figure out what your processes are and how to make that work for your team and for your business.
Yep, I agree, and I think the faster you figure that out, the better. And if you don't, you get bogged down by things coming at you left and right, and you can't really, focus on either scaling or adding value in one way or another to your business itself.
So you got a lot of things in the air right now. What do you think you do best when it comes to keeping everything managed?
I think at a high level, I think like the tactical planning component, and actually like building the framework of, specific efforts. So really talking to a client or a business, understanding what their needs are, and not giving them, what may be more profitable for me, but giving them what they actually need. Because some people, like a car, they throw in, 50 features that you don't even need, and don't really need the thing to actually drive and not break down after a month. So delivering in terms of what a client budget is, what their expectations are, what they're looking to do, and
And
kind
what
of,
they need. I love
yeah,
it.
and what they need.
That's so true. I mean, and for online businesses in particular, a lot of our clients are hazy on what they need, right? They're like, fix this. Okay, well, what do you need? I'll have to figure that out for you.
Yeah, I mean, defining that to begin with, oftentimes when any digital marketing company gets a client that was serviced by another company, they have to start with baselining and then cleaning up some of the things, either rebranding, the brand was off, or let's say the website was optimized in a sketchy manner, that you have to go in and redo things on the technical end, clean up the backlink profile, update the content. So there's a lot of cleanup before you can actually like move the needle forward.
Well, and I find that the algorithm changes so much. If people aren't aware of current standards as they are changing, they are enacting bad back end policies, which is unhelpful.
Yeah, I mean, if you're chasing, a lot of people chase the algorithm and don't necessarily focus on future proofing their efforts. And if you chase the algorithm, you have to do more work to adjust. So you're going to find a loophole to manipulate something, and you're going to, sink everything into that. And that's your unique kind of value proposition that you can get somebody to the first page because of this little loophole. But I mean, that really doesn't last long. And then you have to adjust.
Right. It never lasts. It
Yeah, your
never
website may be
lasts.
penalized, and you have to go and fix it, and you have to explain to clients why the site is basically sandbox, can't be found anywhere. So anything that's kind of like, I promise you in a week this will happen, is one of those too good to be true schemes.
Okay, so what are you working on right now? Tell us what you would like to share.
I think just auditing, and client acquisition, through the podcast, through things like LinkedIn, in terms of the content that I'm sharing, and just kind of adding as much value and value without really asking for anything in return. And kind of seeing some businesses, regardless of what you show them, they still don't care, and they still stay with the company for one reason or another, even though they may be getting destroyed in terms of their online reputation or efforts or lack thereof. But really trying to educate and give as much information as possible, so the business owner, even marketing teams that aren't as proficient in digital marketing, can do their due diligence and understand what they're getting for what they're spending.
The education component is certainly a long game. So, my co host for my podcast, my kid movie podcast, has a day job. She mentioned that they were outsourcing virus protection for $200 a quarter. Somebody would come and run a virus scan. This is the uphill battle we are really working against when it comes to educating people about what's needed and not needed online.
Yeah, I mean, some companies don't necessarily care, especially like Fortune 500s in specific industries. So I know pharma and life sciences that I worked in, they have a marketing budget that doesn't roll over to the next year. So you can pitch something, and literally it's like, there was a time, actually, as an example, I was at a different agency, and I was heading up their digital services and solutions team. So basically, my team did 8 hours of work, and the company was getting $40,000 a month for 8 hours. And it was like, anybody can do it. Like, I could probably get a child to do what was being done. And it's just like, some people will do it in that sense and not care. But, when you're a smaller business or you're a privately held company, the bottom line really matters.
Yeah, it really, really does. Oh, well, thank you, Roman, so much for your time today. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Nope. If anyone has any questions about digital marketing, anything that they've experienced, anything they need help with, I'm always happy to, give advice. So just contact me via social, direct message me, email me, shoot me whatever carrier pigeon, and I'll get back to you.
And I'll have all your links in the show notes. Thank you so much, everybody, and we will talk to y'all later. Bye.